Hey everybody, welcome back to Praetor Magic. My name is Seth Cross, and we are here once again with our Reflections of the Council live podcast that we do every Monday on twitch.tv/Praetor Magic at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, I'm joined as always by my hidden co-host. It's extra special hidden because there's actually another person here. Phyrexian, what's up? How you doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. Get blamed for everything. Yeah.
Yes, we are late.
I'm here literally an hour early for this one.
We are late because of you, even though it is entirely my fault. You're right. And then, of course, as you guys can see, we have a special guest tonight, our good friend Kessler from the Masters of Modern podcast. What's up, Kessler? What's going on?
How's it going? I was so excited that we were late because of not me. I was so sure that I was going to cause the lateness, but dodged that bullet.
No, that's what it pays to have a co-host like Phyrexian, because I could just say everything's his fault.
You're the tank of blame in this situation.
Yeah, you know what? I like that. So you're not really like an RPG player, are you, Phyrexian?
No.
Okay. Well, so
I played lots and lots of Magic.
Have you played WoW? Like one of the online versions of things?
But you understand the concept of tanking, right?
I understand the concept, yes,
yeah.
But I don't play a lot of RPGs.
But I like that, though. You're the tank. You're one of the most important roles in an RPG, because without you, everybody's dead. So
there's
thank
really
you.
only two roles that matter, because every other role can do damage. You just need a tank and a healer. And if you have one of those two things, you'll always get accepted to a party, and then everything else kind of doesn't matter.
As somebody who has recently taken on tanking in WoW with my group of friends, and one of my other friends being the healer, like, I feel that so hard, because I'm a hardcore DPS player. Like, that's how I played back in OG WoW, was I only played DPS characters, and it was so easy to find a party because DPS characters are like everywhere. But it is so easy to find a party as a tank, because everybody's looking for a tank, because almost nobody wants to play that role.
I played hard Final Fantasy 11. I think that was like the main, PSO before that, but which was Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2. But really Final Fantasy 11, and basically like half that game was just waiting for parties, and then I made a white mage, and I immediately didn't have that problem anymore. I just was at every party instantly.
Yep. So my friend who's the healer, he started playing just recently, and he played on Classic, because we all started playing Classic, just because it was like a nostalgia thing for me.
But you and the rest of the internet.
And he started playing a priest, and at first he like hated it, because like OG, like Classic WoW, priests were not easy to level by yourself until you got to dungeons, and then it became much easier because you could get into a party really easily. But I told him, I was like, yeah, trust me, man. If once you get to the point where you can do dungeons, you will never have a problem finding somebody to go into a dungeon with to get that experience to level up. And sure enough, like, he started seeing, like, yes, it is very easy to find a group.
Right. It's the first and the first whatever turns where you're supposed to do stuff by yourself that sucks as a healer or one of the like side ones. But as soon as you're like, oh, I get to hang out with people, you're like, oh, I'm the most important character in this game.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone, we're just gonna scratch out this Magic right here and just replace it with WoW.
Well,
that's what the stream is actually about tonight.
It's all relatable. It's all nerd culture. Come on now. Don't hate just because you had a bad childhood and you didn't play D&D. All right,
I did play D&D in college, but I have never played WoW.
Okay.
I am playing D&D for the third time ever tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, we're doing a heist.
Oh, very cool. As much as I would love to derail us even further and continue talking about that, let's get into our topic. But of course, before that, I want to remind everybody that we are sponsored by our friends over at inkgaming.com, where it's your game, your style. They do all your custom playmats, dice bags, and everything you can need for your gaming experience to be pretty much whatever you want. You can get your own custom Praetor Magic playmat from there, or anything you could want. Just use the affiliate link down below that gets you that lets them know that we sent you their way, and of course that Praetor10 coupon code gets you 10% off your entire purchase. And it is the holiday season coming up, so if you're going to be getting something for your gamer friends, make sure you saving that extra 10% by using that coupon code. So as a thank you from us to you, trying to help you save some money. So what we're really talking about today is my favorite topic. And Kessler, I think this is kind of like a topic that you and I get into a lot, actually.
No, I've never talked about this before.
Wow. Like, I know he's lying, So, like, I immediately saw through that, but, like, even your face was just not believable at all.
I'm not here for lying. I'm here for telling the truth and imparting that upon the people.
I like where you're going with this. I think I know where you're going with this. But we are going to be talking a little bit about something that we've talked about on the podcast before, and if you've interacted with me on Twitter or even a little bit in our Discord, which you can join that via the links down below as well, Planeswalkers as commanders. Kind of a controversial topic. There, for a while actually, for like 2 months straight, there was a lot of like back and forth, at least in terms of Twitter, of like people who were super for it and people who are super against it. And the rules committee eventually did rule that they weren't going to have it, and they started redoing their the way they wanted their rules to be worded and everything. They came up with Rule 0, where it's basically anything should be legal in Commander if your group is okay with it, so have that conversation with your group. But they're wrong, and that's okay. You know, you can't be right all the time. So Planeswalkers should be legal as commanders, because, you know, there's like 20 or so that are anyway in one way or another. But today what we're specifically going to focus on are what we think the best Planeswalkers would be for commanders if they were just legalized. And probably a little bit of the ones that we would rather not see as commanders as well. Because I think that's, like, you can't have one side of the conversation without the other. Right?
Mm-hmm. There's 11, right? There's 11, not including the creature ones. And if you include those, there's 17.
There's 11 that say they can be your commander.
Yeah.
And then you have the Origins 5 and Nicol Bolas, who have their like flip walkers, right? Yep. That's the other 6. So 17 kind of.
Yeah. That sounds right. But before we do that, something that we've been doing on the show for a little while now is we start with this segment that we call Kill on Sight. There we go. Wow. Holy crap. That was really bad. I couldn't remember my own segment. So what we do is we talk about certain things that we consider Kill on Sight in a game of Commander. We've talked about Kill on Sight Planeswalkers. We've talked about Kill on Sight enchantments, Kill on Sight commanders themselves, Narset, the creature. And today we're going to talk a little bit about combo pieces. So something that when you see this card played, either you have to get rid of the combo piece itself or you have to get rid of the player. And the first one that I wanted to talk about, and I should have had prepped on my other screen, which I didn't because I'm really good at this, is Card Clan Ironworks. And I say this as somebody who plays it, but if I play this, chances are I'm trying to win the game either this turn or the next turn. So there's no fair way to sacrifice an artifact for mana in almost any retrospect. There's actually really no fair way to sacrifice even creatures for mana, but artifacts are even more abusable because artifacts are broken as hell. So this is just one of those cards where if you see it, like, you're in trouble. So I don't know how else to paint this or anything like that. You got to know that when you see this card, it's the end is nigh.
It also has the fun fact that it doesn't use the stack.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's a mana ability, so it's like it breaks. I mean, this is one of the reasons they got rid of it in Modern, right? It breaks the rules on how, like, people think they can interact with cards. And so if you have a artifact that triggers when it dies, but you sacrifice it with this, people can't respond to that before you can continue going off. So that's fun and or problematic, depending on how you define fun.
I mean, like I said, I've used it and abused it. The other day I was playing Magic with my friends and I played one of my $3 decks. The whole deck cost $3, and I still managed to have an infinite combo because it was a Teshar deck. So I just kind of gained 1 million life and then pew-pewed people with Ace of Flux Reservoir, which is another combo piece I think you should kill on sight for that matter. But Phyrexian, who loves combos, what's one of your combo pieces that you would advise other people that if you're playing, you get rid of? Uh-oh. You can't have to think that hard. I put this one in the show notes.
1,000-Year Storm.
Really? That one... Oh, because you like your Storm deck, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when I'm playing it, I'm playing Karanos, and I'm just trying to reweave or reality scramble into this, and then, like, literally, I did it end of turn on turn 7, and it didn't look like I was anywhere close to winning, and I reweaved end of turn on my opponent's turn right before me into 1,000-Year Storm, and then won that turn. I have to kill 3 opponents with a Comet Storm by the end of the turn, because Comets, there were 7 of them.
Yeah.
I had 5 cards in hand, and I was at like 29 life, and it didn't look like it was anywhere close to winning from that position. And then the game was just over.
So turn 7, you said, keeping up with your... It's turn 6 or 7, trying to kill everybody?
6 to 8, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Kessler, you said you never lost to this?
Somebody should
No, I never lost after casting it.
Really?
After making a 1,000-Year Storm? Yeah.
Once you get that in play... You play a cantrip and now you get 2 of those.
Just too much value.
Real solid. And then all of a sudden you're casting, just a desperate ritual, and it's supposed to just give you 3 mana, but it actually gives you 15 mana to go into a Comet Storm that all of a sudden there are 6 of. So there's that.
Yeah, like it makes innocuous effects that you're playing. Like even just like playing light comes gut or grape shot. Like there's so many ways you just kind of accidentally win. I think the first time I played it, I have it in Kess, which is currently the namesake in the video. I first time I put it in, someone gave it to foil 1 for my birthday or whatever, and then was like, I can either combo off right now with Rouse Eric and Expansion Explosion or cast 1,000-Year Storm. And then I thought I was picking the fun option, and then realized that I'm mad at just kind of won immediately by having it in play, because every card I cast multiplied itself by so much that it was hard to lose.
I don't know what to do with all these spells. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I just don't know how to kill 1,000-Year Storm. Who plays enchantment removal? That's crazy.
Right? Not in Commander. Like who plays interaction? Like we just play creatures and swing them into people.
Right.
I mean, exactly. It's just with the decks I'm using 1,000-Year Storm in, though, when I play it, you aren't going to get the chance to interact unless you can interact right when I play it. And I'm most likely not playing it into a situation where I think you're going to be able to interact with it.
Yeah.
Just play when opponents have 2 blue mana untapped. I feel like that's just the safest time to do stuff like that.
That's the best time to play 1,000-Year Storm. Hey, there's Jiggles.
Hey, John. Of course you love 1,000-Year. You've wanted to end games with this card, too. So, Kessler, what would... Unless you just want to go with this one, which that's fine too. But do you have a combo piece?
There are better options probably. I just really like my Storm decks.
You should not let a Kiki Jiki untap. Ever with any combo of cards or any color combo.
Listen here,
even if they don't just immediately win, which is what they probably are going to do with the card. It just copies things really well. I don't know. You should never let people put that into play.
Who would ever play with this card in their Goblin 15 combo deck?
No one.
All of them? Who would? I mean, it says it's a goblin. It says goblin on it there on the line. I feel like you just put that in your goblin deck.
I would never have done that. Yes, the deck's right over there. What? Anyway, so but yes, I mean I agree. Kiki Jiki just so I actually specifically my Goblin deck's Krenko is the commander because it's so much easier for me to kind of mask Krenko's a problem, and he combos with he's in 3 of the combos with 4 or 5 of the other pieces to go off infinite, but Kiki is in just as many, and they're so much easier to loop with Kiki than the combos that I have with Krenko. So I've had people ask me well, why don't you just make Kiki your commander, because isn't the haste important to get those combos off as soon as you play her? Yeah, but if you put Kiki in the command zone, people know not to let you ever play your deck. Yeah. And go ahead.
No, it puts such a big target on your head that you won't get the 5 mana. And so you want innocuous things that let you gamble for Kiki Jiki and then play it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or blue mana.
Is it?
Is it?
It is. It is really good.
It really is.
I'm really glad we were all cued into that.
I've been posting each of the guild names just innocuously without any other context on Twitter for the last 3 days, just to see who gets the most interaction. Currently, Izzet and Boros are winning. One person responded to Simic in just a very weird GIF, and then no one touched Azorius. Just hung out lonely by itself.
That's because Azorius doesn't let anybody touch it.
Perfect. That sounds perfect.
So that's where we're at so far. We'll see. I'm excited for Golgari at some point. I'll just do that now. See what happens.
There you go. I don't know if you've noticed again from the custom cards, but Golgari is favored around. Oh, that way. Golgari is favored around here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's going to be on there. You guys are allowed to interact with it. I'm not encouraging or discouraging anything.
I mean,
we don't need much encouragement. Yeah, and then Phyrexian doesn't know what social media is. Anyway.
I know what it is. I just don't participate in it.
Aren't we currently participating in social media?
Yes.
No.
No, yes. Twitch is still social media. It's a different kind of social media platform, but it's still social
media. There's a chat. We're going to interact with it. We're producing media. Also, Discord is a social media
socially
service, right?
Look at you. You're like a social media expert, Phyrexian.
Like you're advanced levels. Yeah. You're not even on the easy stuff like Facebook and Twitter that everyone knows.
Like everybody does that.
Like next level. You're a pro at social media. You just don't want to hang out with the noobs on the Facebook and the Twitter.
Exactly. You're actually too good for us Twitter people.
Wow, yeah, definitely. That's exactly why I'm not on Twitter.
You're a social media hipster, is what you are.
Social media elitist hipster, yes.
Elitist hipster. Oh god.
That's exactly what I am. All you plebeians, get behind me and do your petty little Twitter.
I can hear him cringing, like in his voice. I can't see him obviously because he's the hidden, but I can hear his like the cringe in his voice. Anyway.
But Planeswalkers
as commanders should be a thing. It's not a thing. I mean, it is if you ever play with me, and probably Kessler, I'd imagine. Right?
I dabble.
I've been known.
I've been known to ask a table if it would be okay. What I've done actually is I have 4 Oathbreaker decks, and 3 of them can be very easily converted in between Commander or Oathbreaker. And it's just that I've put all the Commander extension cards in the sleeves upside down. Okay. So like as long as I can organize them so that the sleeves are open up all the same way, then I can figure out which cards are upside down and then separate them. And that way I can easily be like, oh, I'll just shuffle this Nahiri Oathbreaker deck into a regular deck. And now I'm going to do this because people are normally fine with it. But and then it also just exists as an Oathbreaker deck that you can separate out.
So I kind of like that idea also because since Oathbreaker is a 60 card format and you're saying, right, so you have the extra 40 cards on the side. So if you switch it into a commander deck and then go to switch it back out, you can kind of shift the deck a little bit, right? Like you can not pull the exact same 40 out to kind of try different things and whatever, or even have a different signature spell, right? Because as long as you have another spell that is in the colors.
That's kind of where it started, where I realized that for the Nahiri build, I had 15 maybe cards, and then just the rest would be lands. I needed two more cards, and it was Soul Ring and the things that are banned that you would want to play. Yeah. And it just was oh, this is a deck already. I've done the work.
Yeah.
And then it was right during the midst of the all of the strife of April, March, and everyone yelling at each other about should Planeswalkers be commanders or not. And so I just committed and built that. And then I also have not Nissa, Tamio, the blue-green Tamio, the new one.
Oh, the War of the Spark one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was really fun. Lands.
Which for that's actually a really great segue because that's one of the ones that I looked into when I was building my first Planeswalker as commander deck. So I want to say I had 3 main options. I whittled it down to 3. One was Ashiok, the newer one from War of the Spark. One was Huatli, the green-white one. You get the emblem to where whenever creature enters the battlefield, you draw a card or whatever. And then the one that I actually eventually wound up with, because I put a poll out on Twitter, which was Kiora Behemoth Beckoner. But Tamio was one of the ones that I was super kind of high on, because I think the Commander Versus guys did an episode where they did War of the Spark Planeswalkers as commanders. And I think Parnell did Tamio, and I really liked the way his deck, he did kind of a top of the deck matters type thing, and then you use Tamio's plus ability to obviously get the payoffs, and a couple other cards. Like he had Sensei's Divining Top in there, which that part wasn't super fun because it always takes forever to resolve. But you know what I mean? Like those kind of synergies.
But you can replace a land with it when you're building a deck.
Yeah, right? If you don't want people to hate you, like sitting there fiddling with the same 3 cards every other turn. But it was a cool deck, though, and I think he did fairly well. I don't remember if he won the episode, and I cannot remember what the other decks were.
Yeah, the deck I have right now is Oathbreaker. Is the signature spell is Idyllic Tutor, the blue one, which I'm blanking on. Mystical Tutor. And I've only ever cast it once, and it was always to get Life from the Loam every single time. And it's mostly because the way that the wording on Oathbreaker rules is that you can't leave your signature spells in your graveyard.
Yep.
Or you can't buy them back to your hand. So the 2 cards that I would use, which is the Fog, Sack of Land, Buyback, or Life from the Loam, are both unavailable or don't really work as Oathbreaker spells. Yep. So I've those are in the deck, and then just Mystical Tutor finds one of those 2 things, and then I don't.
You would run Constant Mist or Life from the Loam if you had the option, but you don't have the option. So
correct.
Mystical Tutor to get them.
Well, so you have the option to do it, but the 2 biggest payoffs for those 2 cards, the Dredge and the Buyback, are just unavailable. So he could technically run those cards. He just wouldn't be able to abuse, quote unquote, abuse the mechanics that they're basically really good for.
And I feel like flavorfully, it's a tutor. She's a nerd. I feel like it all works.
I mean, it's Tamio, and it's a mystical tutor, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's
basically the plot of Shadows over Innistrad is her tutoring Jason, how moons work.
Exactly. No, I like that. I like the idea though too that for Oathbreaker, having a tutor as your spell basically means that you have access to anything in your deck. So yeah. Well, people have talked about before, like, well, what if I wanted an artifact to be my signature thing or an enchantment or blah, blah, blah. Like, with the right, color combinations and the right cards or whatever, like, you get that option and it doesn't, like, you don't have to break the rules or worry about people abusing it for other reasons kind of thing. So I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, plus it works with their ability, right? You're talking about the top of your deck matters. Idyllic puts it on top of your deck. So or not Idyllic, I keep saying Idyllic. But Mystical Tutor puts it on top of your deck. I'm literally looking at the card in the stream and saying Idyllic. And that's kind of one point in general I wanted to bring up, and I guess I'm going to segue here before we continue talking about Planeswalkers that we would want, is one of the reasons I love Oathbreaker and Brawl to a certain extent as well is it kind of lets the world test how problematic Planeswalkers would be as commanders, right? Like now there has been X thousand of games played where Planeswalkers are allowed to be your commander both in Brawl, and with Brawl it's like hundreds of thousands of games. With Oathbreaker it's thousands, I assume. Games played where these are available, and the more it's happened, the more all the people talking about you really don't need to ban anything seem to be correct. Like if
strongly
these cards where they get a combo piece attached to them in the command zone as well aren't breaking the format in any way that makes it unplayable, then I can't imagine just like
like in Commander where you don't have that like secured spot for a specific spell, right? Like, and there's some cheesy builds, right, in Oathbreaker and whatnot. There was the Jace with the one that like puts all your cards onto the battlefield because they're lands or whatever. Like the Jace 90 or Jace 50 islands, and I can't remember the name of the spell, but like
treasure hunt, not treasure hunt. Yeah, treasure hunt,
something like that. But yeah, and then like there's the Ralzeric in any kind of fork, basically, where it basically creates the infinite combo. So
I think the most popular ones are like the ones that are like silly are Narset and Expansion Explosion. I think is the one that you see a lot because it's like in his colors and it has versatility. And then you see, obviously Narset and Windfall is like the
super
bad. And I do think like there's an argument that if Planeswalkers were to be made legal as Planeswalker or as commanders, that Narset probably just needs to go there's like precedence for it. I think it's worse than the advisor guy ever was. Leovold ever was, because like not having access to green and black is a big loss. And the protection going away is a big loss. And she draws about as much cards, I guess. But I think like the world probably would just be happier if Narset wasn't legal. Obviously, this is the elephant in the room with chat talking about Narset as we were getting in. I think that as a card, it doesn't. It's not also like people are so worried about losing doubling season. That was like the #1 comment against Planeswalkers being legal, that you'd have to ban doubling season, and so many people love that card. I think the card's fine. I think that there are currently legal in Commander, Kiki Jiki being an example, just way more problematic and more difficult things than people being able to guarantee getting their emblem out of green Planeswalker decks. Like even the amount of mana that you need to get doubling season and Tamio, the 3 mana one in play, is about the same as Omniscience, which is just the same thing.
if you play Omniscience, you probably have won the game, unless you have like a really bad hand or something.
Right, and you can secretly time an Omniscience, right? Like I can be like, oh, I waited for all the blue players to tap out, slam this down. Okay, now I win. Versus with Tamio, where you're just it's projecting yourself with Narset, the Jeskai Narset, where like, oh, I know I need to kill you because you are playing a Narset deck and it costs you 6 mana. And against Tamio, I need to kill you before you can blast doubling season. And then on turn 6, play Tamio and then have Omniscience. And so like, I don't, if that's not broken, if that's not problematic, I don't know what else would be.
And that it's actually funny too that we even bring up doubling season. And I've had I should say I've had a recent experience where this kind of conversation came up, because Phyrexian, you actually built John a deck which was 4-color Planeswalkers, where it was all like they all made tokens and blah blah blah. So it wasn't like hyper tuned or anything, but he played a doubling season.
On his token friends.
Yeah. He
it wasn't a Super Friends deck, but it was mainly to make tokens.
Well, it was kind of Super Frenzy. Yeah. Well, he played a doubling season, and then he played the Elsef that immediately ulted to make all his permanents indestructible. He still lost that game, and he was not in the driver's seat for a good portion. We were in the moment worried because we didn't know what we were going to do. Like, how do we can't remove any of your stuff, and we didn't have so much exile, like especially in board wipe fashion, right? There's not that much. There's a decent amount, but there's not that much when we can't interact with his emblem. But again, he still lost that game. So it's not impossible. And like I think eventually he even lost the doubling season. I think that got exiled, or he got made to sacrifice it or something. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, doubling season did something super crazy where he played a Planeswalker and immediately ulted, and it was an emblem, which, like, I've even been one of the people to turn around and say that I think emblems are really bad design choices for Planeswalkers, and I think that's one of the reasons why people do fear Planeswalkers, like, as commanders, or, like, dislike Planeswalkers in general. I think emblems are not... I like the static abilities, like what we see here with Narset and what we saw with the new Tamio and, like, all the ones from War of the Spark. I like that design a lot better than the emblems. I wish we wouldn't see emblems anymore, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fine. I think like they're more of a, like, because they made Elsbeth's ability before emblems existed, and they realized that they needed rules that worked with Planeswalkers leaving and then just having a permanent effect once they died.
Yeah.
I think that I agree that the static abilities, at least the positive netting ones, are great design space that I'd love to see more of. What I don't like is the, like, and Narset is one of them, but and as is Teferi, as is Tamio for that matter, the, like, the gotcha ones, the ones that get you when you play them, where it's like, I'm gonna search my deck, and they're like, oh no, you sacrifice to fetch land because they have Ashok in play, and like it's like an innocuous thing you don't pay attention to. The amount of brawl games I've won on Arena because I have an Ashiok brawl commander list that like they like sacrifice Evolving Wilds into it, just not even thinking about it, and they're just like, oh, I lose. But the other thing is, like, I don't think there's a commander, like a Planeswalker. I don't think in the future they're going to print Planeswalkers that are going to be too good in the command zone ever really again, because they are focusing on Brawl being a main feature of Magic with Arena. So every Planeswalker that comes out now, at least in Standard, is going to be with that in mind, that Brawl is a format that these will be being played in, and that's what you can kind of see with a lot of the War of the Spark Planeswalkers. But on top of that, I don't think like Thraskios and Tina are so much scarier than any Planeswalker as a commander. Period. Even Narset.
I like New Dark's comment in the chat. Well, I mean, they just created Oko. I don't know if Oko would be. I don't know, because he is what, 3, right? He's 3 mana. And
the problem with Oko is that he is his effect on creature commanders, right? That's the one that is maybe a problem, and it was banned in Brawl. He brings up. I guess that is the other one. If I were to pick one after Narset, like those are the two, and that has more to do with it like harming just commanders in general and being such a negative effect on the format than anything else. It's also a card I don't see the world being like, oh man, my Oko got banned in Commander at the same time that they're legal. Like, I
don't know, like we still have those kind of effects in Commander. Like we have like Nevermore, for instance, which can just straight up say you can't play your commander, or even like the Pithing Needle, where you could turn around and shut off somebody's Planeswalker commander, and they're not rampant. I mean, I'm sure they see play.
It's the issue that it hits everything, right? Yeah. It's not like if Oko did it once, like it was like its ultimate, or
that's true,
it was like a -3 that like you can name a card and they can't play it anymore, or this card loses all abilities and it's an elk. Fine, but the fact that like as a plus, it just sits there and every single creature that gets played for the rest of the game and every single commander just no longer works would be pretty toxic, I can imagine.
Yeah.
If it was someone's commander, because then you also like expend a lot of resources to kill him because he's like 7 loyalty when he comes into play. And then you have to and then they just cast it for 5 mana, right? Like and they're blue-green, so that's not a difficult mana count to get to.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is also like, I don't know, this design. So I have Oko up, and he has 2+ abilities, and then his ultimate. I'm not sure about that design too. We've seen it a few times, like Saheeli, the one that can be your commander from 2 years ago or last year, I can't remember, from the Commander Precons. She had 2+ abilities, and she wasn't super broken, I don't think. But I never know about that design because it's like there's no downside. You're always going up until you get your ultimate.
There's no good choice, right? Or there's only good choices. There's no interesting choice. I'm never like, ooh, do I make a food and protect Oko, or do I remove this person's Planeswalker?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's like, at this point, how many words have been written about all of the mistakes written on Oko grounds? From why is it 3 mana? Why is it a 4 loyalty Planeswalker? Why is it a +1 and not a -1? Why, there's just a lot of layers. I think this card collectively can be considered a mistake. It's currently in contention for the best Planeswalker of all time.
Yeah.
I almost want to say it is just the best Planeswalker of all time. It showed up in the Legacy GP this last weekend.
Yeah.
It shows up in Modern. It shows every format that exists. I think letting this be a commander probably is just not fun for anyone.
Yeah.
And I don't think it loses anyone. I think everyone else gains, like, the amount of positive that you get from all these Planeswalkers being legalized, the Nahiris, even the Tamios, the Sorens, the everything else, like, that's so great. Why mar that out of the gates with Oko just having to be something to deal with? And kind of Narset, right? Like, those are the two I think that the world would be a better place if we just didn't start there. And I don't think anyone disagrees. Yeah, I mean, R&D is even admitting that this is a mistake. New Dark Cloud abbreviated it.
So even chat was even mentioned, like, a lot of the like feel bad effects are the you can't effects, like what you were talking about with Ashiok, and there was a lot in War of the Spark. A lot of those effects, and like Phyrexian, you and I have even talked about this when I was building a Minato with like a Super Friends kind of feel to it, and I narrowed down the deck to, I think, like 13, 14 Planeswalkers. I noticed a lot of them were from War of the Spark, and B, a lot of the War of the Spark ones were the ones that had effects that said don't do a thing, which works toward like a negative experience for everybody else at the table, and to a degree, like even a negative experience for the person piloting, because after a certain point, like, of people just being miserable because of you're in the game, like And Phyrexian, you could probably, out of the three of us, speak the most for that. Because I'm always miserable when you're in a game.
Well, I mean, like, the power level of Magic in general, like 79 of the main deck spells in the top 2 decks of the GP Bologna, which I'm never going to, hopefully that's how you say that space or location on the planet. 29 of them, of the 79, were from 2019. So, like, War of the Spark and Eldraine.
Yeah, there's definitely been, like, an uptake in like, I mean, we talk about power creep every once in a while, but, like, there's been a huge jump in power, I feel like, this year. And I'm not.
When they banned all the cards out of standard, they talked about it, right? It was that they realized that a strong power level with strong answers is more fun in general as a Magic format than a weak power level with weak answers, where like people just kind of do boring things. People would much rather do cool, powerful things that you have to kind of stop. And I think that's true. I mean, that's kind of what Commander is, right? Like when you play Commander, you're trying to do cool, powerful things and have your opponent stop you. In Modern, it's the same way. There's a reason Modern, even though people complain publicly about how like 2 ships passing each other in the night it is, part of the reason people love it is they get to do cool and powerful things. I get to try making Amulet work. I get to try making Lantern work. So I don't know. I think I'd rather people try and do powerful stuff and then try to have to fix those problems afterwards than print boring cards for 3 years in a row. Like the fact that Mono Red was the best deck from basically 2016 to 2017 is boring.
I mean, we even had, in that retrospect though, like we've even had Mono Red decks pop up this year, but they were like it goes again into what we're talking about, like the scale of things. And Phyrexian, you play Arena a lot more than I do, so you're a little bit more in touch with Standard. How do you feel about that? Like the scale of the stakes, essentially.
I feel like a lot of the Mono Red getting played on Arena was more because of the bad Arena Shuffler than Mono Red was actually good. It was that your bad Arena Shuffler could let you run 13 lands and the deck was still playable. Just because of the way the Arena Shuffler worked.
Well, but still, though, like in terms of the way the game was played. Higher stakes, right? Like, so higher powerful magic being casted, 2 equally powerful answers, or at least equally well-suited answers, because some of the counters and everything and the border wipes weren't super powerful, but they were well-suited to deal with the high-stakes things that you're trying to do, you know? So did that make it feel more fun to you than if you were doing, like, kind of, like, older, more, like, smaller value stuff to get a win, or?
I don't know about more fun.
Okay.
I kind of go with both.
You think it's more stressful that way then?
Well, I guess more of a question, because right now everything is kind of in flux. Would you rather like Theros Return to Ravnica block standard, or Return to Ravnica Innistrad standard, or Kaladesh Ixalan standard?
Yeah. That's a you question, Phyrexian, because you play standard more than I do.
Say Innistrad, just because I love Innistrad, but I'm kind of biased because I just love Innistrad so much as a set.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, yeah.
Innistrad was so fun to draft. Innistrad was fun in Standard. I just enjoyed Innistrad immensely.
But part of that is the powerful card, right? Liliana the Veil is cool. Getting to play with Snapcaster Mage is cool. Getting to play even though people don't like it necessarily, but Supreme Verdict is a dope card. And that was on both ends. So I don't know. I would much rather live in a world where cool stuff is happening, I guess. And that's why I like older formats in general, is because cool stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And even when we were saying Mono Red's the number 1 deck archetype to ever show up at Pro Tour, right? Like almost every single Pro Tour in the history of Magic has a Mono Red deck showing up. And that has more to do with the fact of kind of one of the Color Pie's strengths that it has had historically, that is also where its weakness was in Commander for so many years. It like is good at attacking, being aggressive, and doing damage, and just an amalgamation of those cards together are going to be good. And whenever a format is new, which is what a Pro Tour is generally going to be, the format lends itself to decks being aggressive because control decks or mid-range decks don't know what threats they need to answer. So red is best to capitalize on that. So, and it's a feature of Magic. You know, every time someone complains about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or for other games, I often hear complaints of like, well, you could just pay a bunch of money to have the best deck, and that makes you just the best player. So it has nothing to do with how good you are, but it's how much money you have. And Magic, with its color system, allows for these mono red decks, who are always inexpensive because they're mostly commons and uncommons, be Pro Tour competitive decks. So I think mono red should always be playable, right? Or a monocolor aggressive deck. I don't think it should be the best deck period for over a year.
I played mono red in Zendikar blocks, so I mean,
Goblin guy would not.
I am one of those people. So you kind of had to. You had to join the people, and you had to play your 8 fetches to thin the deck out and play your goblin guides and everything else. Just get in there because that was what you played if you wanted to be any competitive whatsoever. But
you had Jund, right?
Yeah, when in doubt.
Cascade, Bloodbraid Elf, and the Blightning. I don't know what's wrong with that.
I rotated out.
But
and when that did, like you said, Mono Red just kind of ruled for a long stretch there.
Well, Cobblade. You had, so it rotated, and then red green just Valakut decks were the ones that were just I'm going to win because I have Primeval Titan, and then Swords of Feast and Famine got printed, and people are like, oh, Stoneforge, Mystic, and Jace are good cards.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh wait, nope, Jace is banned. Bye, Jace.
Yes, and then
the only Planeswalker competing with Oko for the title.
That's actually
Well, there's like a strong argument. Back to Planeswalkers, that all the top 5 Planeswalkers of all time were printed since War of the Spark, right? Like, it's the two that are questionable are Jace and Liliana of the Veil, but you have, and maybe 7-mana Karn, but you have Narset, Teferi, 4-mana Karn, the one that lets you wish for things, Renin 6, and Oko. And like, I would maybe be wrong, but could argue that all of those are better than Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah. And all of them are for sure better than Liliana of the Veil.
Yes.
And all of them are better than Karn, 7-mana Karn. And like, those are the other 3. Like, after that, Ugin, Elsbeth, 4-mana, which hasn't been good since Zendikar Block.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really cool. Like, I do think that, like, the biggest issue with Planeswalkers being legal to Commander right now, I think, as Commanders, is just the bad,
the feel bad ones
Planeswalkers at the moment, right? We've had so much Planeswalker fatigue over the last 6 months that I think,
you mean when you print an entire set dedicated to Planeswalkers, people get tired of them?
Yes.
Actually, to be fair, there were so many Planeswalkers in that set. Like, there was only a few out of War of the Spark, right? And so, Kessler, you just named 5. 3 of them were from there, and there was 36 total in that set. So there's 33 other ones that like weren't that bad.
Well, but Nissa, who shapes the world, is in that set. You have.
There are other powerful ones. They just aren't in the top 5.
Yeah, top 5 of all time.
But of all time, being super great Planeswalkers forever.
We should have a Planeswalker printed better than 7-mana card once every 2 years.
Although, to be fair, the 5 that you mentioned, if you really think about it, except for I think Renin 6, the other 4 all have a you can't attach to them. Right?
Yeah.
Oko, which takes something away with his +1. Teferi, which can't cast spells except as sorcery speed. Narset, which we've already talked about. And then, what was the other one?
Oko. Can't play creatures or artifacts.
No, the Karn. You can't activate artifacts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the new Karn. So, like, they all... I don't know. Maybe if they didn't deny as bad as they do, they'd still be powerful because of the activatable parts, right? That you get to do something else. But I don't know if they would be quite as bad, or at least quite as feels bad, which is like, that's a huge thing, especially for Commander, because we market ourselves as this social contract format, like this social format. Like, we market that like you're supposed to have fun here. This is where you're supposed to have fun with your friends, and then to have those big splashy ones that like, yay, they do a cool thing and they're cool characters and all this other thing, but they make people miserable. Like, I think that kind of comes into play a little bit too when we talk about like power and like things that would be bad as commanders. Because I would hate to see a Teferi as commander.
Well, but I played with him in Brawl. I played with him in Oathbreaker. He's fine. Like 3-mana Teferi as an Oathbreaker like commander is also very easy to attack. Like his plus ability that's so backbreaking and locking the game out in 2-player commander is not nearly as problematic in a 4-player game because you bounced John's creature, but Sasha is going to attack it and it's going to die on its next turn because it's at 1 loyalty. And you draw a card, but I don't know. I think that like I agree that the people have called it the curse mechanic, kind of really the hate bear version of static abilities are the ones that are the most negative to play against, and almost most of them are more. And it's not even just necessarily the hate bear ones because I think Karn's fine. To be totally honest, I think if I were to ban a card out of Karn, it would be more Mycosynth Lattice than anything else in Modern. But I think that the issue is more that the ones that get you are less fun. The Narsets where you can cast your card into it and then get punished where you can't draw an extra card, or the and partially you just don't notice, and that I think is more of a static ability thing. I think that's an issue with Planeswalkers regardless if they're your commander, and if anything, when they're your commander it's less of a problem. If I see that Narset is someone's commander, I know that I can't draw extra cards, period. If I see that someone has Tamio, I'm not going to make them discard a card, but it's when they like are just a random card in your deck. I literally thought sees someone with Tamio in play yesterday Sunday when I was live streaming. I like on camera thought erasured them with Tamio and was like, I don't know why this didn't work. The chat was like Tamio in cap letters.
Everybody's like, you can't do that. Like you can, but you can't. Right.
And so I don't know. I mean, I feel like, back to like, because we're kind of talking a lot about the negatives of why them being commanders could be that's issues. True. And I want to go more towards positives because I think actually it'd be really great. I mean, I think like the one thing to remember is these are the characters people know, recognize, and associate with and see from set to set. Like I care more about Teferi or Nahiri than I care about any legendary creature.
Like that's printed in a commander precon.
Right. And and including myself.
but think about it though. Marin, in terms of a character, like I love Marin as a card, but I really don't know too much about Marin as a character. Whereas like we do know a lot of yeah, that's very true. But
I know nothing about Kess. Yeah, I'm the person who would know the most. I've seen the like back end version of it that like the design notes or whatever, and they're like it's just a mage that lives in Grixis. She flies around. She likes to juggle.
Exactly. Yeah, but we don't know anything about like their backstories or their history or anything like that. Which like, and we were even talking. You went to say like a character's name at first, and Chandra's a great one. Right? Like, especially lately because of how, like, people have been up in arms about the way Forsaken was portraying her, blah, blah, blah. But that's because people care about the character.
If Chandra died, people would maybe quit Magic over it. If Kess died or Marin died or even someone that's been around a couple times, like Thalia died.
Let's be clear.
Well, we just bring her back in.
But Thalia died, right? Like she's a character that has been multiple times seen, fan favorite. In fact, we have stuff like that. Like Bruna and Gisela died. Those are huge commander cards, and I don't care.
Yeah,
it's horrifying. Well, the Bruzella is like one of the most horrifying Magic cards I've ever seen. But like, if Chandra died, people would quit.
Yeah,
it would be problematic. I mean, just all of the issues that happened, people are quitting. So like,
counter argument. They killed Gideon.
I was gonna bring that up actually because there was a lot of not outrage, I don't want to say, but there was a lot of people like you talked about people who are like not holding vigils or anything like so extreme as that. I don't want to like dramatize it or anything like that, but like there were people who were like recounting their memories of learning about Gideon as a character and seeing him in the story and everything like that when it got announced or spoiled or leaked or whatever that he was dying in War of the Spark. People were like affected by that. It was a character. It's a long-term character. She talked about it.
People reacted the way they do when stuff like that happens, saying they're going to quit. I think, yes, actually full-on quitting isn't going to happen, but I do think people like, and they killed Gideon the right way, right? It was an emotional scene. He died for a cause. It was during the end of an arc. People's biggest complaint of War of the Spark is they didn't kill more characters.
Yep.
The fact that they killed Ral without giving him without giving him a card is like a carnal sin of that set.
He's got a card. He's fine. He had one.
But that's it. He died. We're never getting another one.
No, it's okay.
I'm gonna have like multiple Teo decks. But yeah, I think I don't know. I think like you associate with these characters so much. Most of them from a gameplay perspective, I think there's a benefit to the way that they encourage attacking in general, actually, as well. Like so much of Commander now is like, I don't attack anyone. I like sit here until when I attack someone, I kill them. Yeah. Or maybe I'll like, oh, you don't have a blocker, and if I attack you, I draw a card. Or just like, well, I might as well attack someone, swing at you because you don't have a blocker for like 2 damage, but nothing like, it's not an aggressive format. That's one of the problems Red and White have, is that so much of their standard printed or competitive printed power level isn't attacking people, and Commander is so not in that space in general. But then letting Planeswalkers be commanders, now my Goblin Guide is good, right? I get to like, I get to get your Planeswalker, or my like Lightning Bolt is more playable as a card because I get to target Planeswalkers with it and do damage to them. And like opening up the aggressive side of Magic in a way to Commander, because they tried, right?
Yeah.
The experience counters Commander precons were them saying, we think Commander needs to be more aggressive. We want to create things that are about attacking. That's why they have the giant, the red-white one. That's literally the mechanics are like attack people. The experience counters on the black-white one. What's his face?
Karlov.
Or Thaxos. Yeah, sorry. Was like, you need to be attacking, and it didn't work, right? The only like the commanders that came out of that experience thing that people play with are more often used as combo pieces with the Simic one.
Azuri. Yeah.
I'm testing you guys. Or Marin, who is the grindiest commander ever printed.
Yeah. Which cares nothing.
Is the grindiest commander ever printed.
Who?
Muldrotha. He's got a point there.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Marin fits in Muldrotha.
On crack.
Yeah.
But so like making the games more aggressive, I don't think is what people are looking for. What they want to do is be able to use cards that are aggressive for value, and having Planeswalkers be commanders gives you that option. You're able to attack their Planeswalker or their commander, and that's the main way you get rid of them, giving red and white more color pie focus in Commander than they have currently.
I think it would also then speak to, there are so many decks out there where like the commander almost isn't important a lot of the times. Like commanders will be there just for colors, and we see that with, let's say, the partners. You mentioned Thrasios and Tymna before. A lot of, like, for instance, the competitive EDHX or the CEDH EDHX use partner commanders just for the color enabling, not necessarily for what the commanders do. Like Thrasios is part of the combo, but Tymna is not always a big deal-ish.
Cards. It's a deck that wants more of those.
But like, there's how many cards that can do it, but they do need like white and black to be able to get like the tutors and everything like that, and the removal and whatnot. So I think having Planeswalkers be your commander makes it so that your commander almost matters a little bit more, and that's something I did like about the static effect Planeswalkers, which I was disappointed when they didn't try to either change the rule or put the can be your commander text at the bottom of at least some of them, even if not all of them, at least some of them, was that like you have this effect now on a card in your command zone, which then makes your commander more important if your deck is built around that. And I thought that was kind of where they were going with the design, and it turns out it wasn't, because we didn't get either one of those two things that I thought were going to happen.
They are, though, right? Wizards has already made the decision that Planeswalkers should be commanders, which is why Brawl exists.
Yep.
Right? They've already made the decision that they want a multiplayer format, that they have control, that they have Planeswalkers as commanders, and they did it. Right? They're not getting rid of Commander, and they realize that Commander is the most played version of Magic, so they're offering alternatives. Which
they
is
also
what standard
do it in the sphere of where you only have standard legal cards.
Sure, but I think that they don't want to compete with Commander as is. I don't think it would be a good sign if Wizards took over the Commander Council's management of that format. I I do think that Gavin has been on the record that they are, and other Wizards employees as well, have realized that Commander is the most played format in Magic, that the next year is going to show a significant increase in product. And that's just the beginning of that, of them focusing on this format. That's why Command Fests are happening. That's, to a certain extent, why the secret layer packs were created. It's why they're doing Brawl decks, that those commanders now are playable as commanders. You get, on top of that, they're going to be doing more common Commander release sets instead of just the once a year. Like, I think they realize that this is a community that they not only need to focus on, but obviously they need to sell product to. And they also know that the number one thing that their marketing focuses on more than anything else in the game is Planeswalkers, right? You are a Planeswalker. The characters they focus are on Planeswalkers. Their Avengers style endgame-esque set was about Planeswalkers, the most Planeswalkers. That was the peak of Magic for them, was the most of them. And that's not going to go away. And they've now officially started, since 2 years ago, have started designing Planeswalkers for commanders, to be commanders. That's what Brawl, like, regardless of if they're playable in regular Commander, they're now being designed to be commanders. As just a base level. And so I think it's a losing battle on the Commander Council side, or the Rules Committee, to fight against commanders being Planeswalkers, which is kind of what Rule 0 is. And one of the reasons they do, and I said this earlier, Oathbreaker is great, because here's a huge test case scenario, right? We now have tons of data, at least anecdotal, of what did Planeswalkers do when they're in the command zone. And for the most part, they're fine. The format's a little combo-y because of the Oathbreaker side of that combo, but like,
and that's really because of the spell that you pair with the Planeswalker, not necessarily the Planeswalker being at the helm of the deck.
Correct. Like, I think the broken part of Oathbreaker is the Oathbreaker part. The Oath. Like, if I couldn't have a combo piece, I think it would just be fine. And I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's even with them trying to limit, like, the combo potential, right? Because, like, you can only play your signature spell when your Planeswalker's out. Imagine if you could just play your spell whenever. Like, you were talking, Mystical Tutor is one of your signature spells, which is a 1-mana spell. So you could island play it if that rule didn't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they even try to reel it back a little bit, and it's still combo-y because of the combination of Planeswalker with this extra spell that you always have access to when you have your Planeswalker out. You know, so I definitely agree with that. I think the more brokenness of Oathbreaker, or like the spikiness, I guess I don't want to say brokenness, but the spikiness of Oathbreaker is the extra thing in the command zone.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and there's so many cool ones. Like, the War of the Spark Sorin is amazing. It's such a cool card to be able to play that as a commander. Literally, Nahiri is one of the favorite commander decks I have in Boros, and it gives Boros something to do other than attacking for the first time in, like, all of their commanders' history. You have, like, all of these cool effects, and you get to play with the characters you love. I don't think that we really live in a world where this design space is boring. Not everyone will see play. There's a ton of the 5-mana plus ability draw a card minus ability kill a creature minus ultimate you win the game cards that'll probably just not see play. There's a ton of legendary creatures that don't see play as commanders. And you know, I can name 20 commanders, I think, if I really wanted to, that are all worse for gameplay than any Planeswalker would be, or as bad if you want to include Narset, Oko, and Tamio 3-mana, or Bant Tamio. That version is dope. I don't know how good it is at telling people what the card does, though.
So the only reason why I put this up is because I love Sorin so much that I have this art as a playmat, which is amazing that I was able to do, because my wife hates the fact that I continue to buy playmats when I have way too many in the first place. But, like,
possible not to.
Right? Like, God, I only technically need one, but for some reason I have 10. But yeah, like, I agree 100% with the people enjoy the character part. Like, I enjoy Sorin. And, like, the whole, like, Sorin Nahiri thing, like, me and my friend John, we joke all the time about how, we're going to eventually have a Sorin deck on my side and a Nahiri deck on his side, because he likes Nahiri, and we're going to play them whenever we're, you know, at an event or something together, because that's just something that we do. Like, so you buy into the characters, and the reason why we talk about that is because we know there's tension between those two characters. We know there's drama between those two characters because of the story. And I know a lot of people like to bring up, well, Magic's not about the story, blah, 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 because it's a card game and it's mechanics and blah, blah, and this, that, and the other thing. But I disagree. I think there's a lot of people who are playing the game because they do like the story, or because they do like the flavor, or maybe they started out liking the mechanics or the cards or whatever, or the art. And then, like, you get to know these characters, or you get to learn the story, and then that kind of, like, that hooks you in. It keeps you, I think the game is the hook to get you in, but I think the story is what kind of keeps you interested, because it continues to evolve and grow.
I don't even know if I agree with you on that order. Like, I think there's a ton of people that play Magic because they saw characters that was amazing. I know a lot of people that started playing Magic because they thought the art was great, right? Like, the amount of friends I have that like were like, oh, I started playing Magic because I saw some of the art, and I was like, oh, where did this come from? And they're like, oh, this is a game. Oh, I can play with this art. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at like the cosplay community, right? Like,
yeah,
that is so focused on flavor and almost exclusively on that. And they're playing the game because they love these characters and they get to dress up as those characters and be those characters at conventions. I mean, just like the reason people are mad about the most recent War of the Spark book is because they care about the story.
Yeah, they care about this character development that they've had for years that they didn't agree with how it worked out.
Right, and not even just how they, like, obviously there's more than just they wanted Nissa and Chandra to be dating. The way that it was handled is problematic, but you don't, if I didn't care about the story, or the majority of the Magic community didn't care about the story, and that happened, no one would even notice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they would have read the book. Not to mention, like,
if we didn't care about the characters, they probably wouldn't have made a book. I mean, how long did we go without Magic novels? Years.
Those were better years for Vorthos. Like, to go back to the days where Doug Bear and Kelly Diggs and everyone was running the Mothership story through the Mothership on a weekly basis. We need to go back to that, I think.
I agree. Or go back to, like, some of the old school novels that we used to have. Because I really did like some of the older novels. I like the Wilder. Yeah. I enjoyed that one. But then, like, the two War of the Spark ones were...
The first one's fine. It's obviously problematic. The biggest issue for me with the two biggest issues I have with it is that, like, it's disconnected from what the cards are doing. Like, the fact that we see Liliana destroy the Chain Veil on card art to defeat Bolas in the game, but then that is not at all what happens in the story, and it is problematic. And the other issue being just that the book starts a book late, right? Like, there's an entire book that never got released leading into stuff. So, like, opens up with Niv Mizzet dead. I didn't know that happened.
Right.
And I pay attention to this.
It was the most confusing prologue ever. They were like, oh yeah, when, you know, Niv Mizzet failed his story and got struck down, I'm like, wait, what?
Like, oh, this character's dead. We're all sad. Who?
Like, that matters.
Don't know who that is. Yeah. I don't know. But there's definitely, I think that people care about the story. I think Planeswalkers are the center of that story. People care about Commander. It's the most played format in Magic. It's silly that they don't get to play with those as their Commander. The kid who comes to the store being like, oh, this is a game where you get to play with the character you like. Yeah. Except for that one. Or except for that one. Oh, no, none of those. Just, oh, you could play with Planeswalkers, but you have to play with these 5 obscure ones that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Or this one that was in a book that you can't buy because it's no longer in print.
Yeah. Especially with the choices that they have done for Planeswalkers as Commander, where, like...
Which, like, give me all of the Sarah Angels. I'm not complaining that they're, like, leaning into old characters. I love that we got a new Gerard, and I love...
But you want a little bit of both.
I just want new Planeswalkers to be able to be my Commander. And I'm doing that. I think that's the other thing. Do it.
Yeah,
they that's kind of the rules committee put they kind of called the bluff, right? With Rule 0, they were basically like, you know what? We're not gonna say you can do this, but if you want to do it, you can do it and see what happens. And I think that they did that right when War of the Spark came out. They did that right when not right when Oko, but right when people are kind of getting sick of Planeswalkers, and right when Oathbreaker became a big thing.
Yep.
And so that kind of detracted from the community push to just do it. And I think that going into 2020, the best way, if you want Planeswalkers to be commanders, do it.
Yeah.
Build a commander deck, or just like have a backup. Like I have Nahiri. If the table I sit down to is like, oh, we don't want you to play as a Planeswalker committee, we're sticklers and we only want to play the way the rules work, then I have Aurelia that I can just come out and fill in, and it does like a 60% version of the job needed. Or, like I have Chandra tribal Oathbreaker deck that I very easily can convert into a red Planeswalker tribal deck that, like,
I mean, you can put Chandra.
I played Kid Chandra. I have the, and I just like slide that in, and now you suffer because you can't read what this card does. You should have let me play with the one from the 1020.
Yeah, and I agree. That's kind of what I did for Vegas. I built Kiora Behemoth Beckoner. I had like a bunch of Simic legendary creatures I could have put into the command zone if I needed to, but honestly, nobody ever complained. Like I would turn around and be like, hey, my commander's a Planeswalker, it's this one, you could read it, it's not super broken. Because really, like, what does she do? When creature power 4 or greater comes into the battlefield, you draw a card, and I can untap stuff. And, scary untap things. I guess, theoretically, I could maybe be scary if I had the Chain Veil, but it's not like Teferi Temporal Archmage scary.
And the Chain Veil, like, yeah, the Planeswalker that it's worse to have the Chain Veil in the deck with is legal as a commander and isn't problematic.
He is literally legal as commander per Wizards.
He is the one you can play, and he is probably worse than 99% of the other walkers. And like my biggest issue is that I'm spikier than I probably should be, and so like the commander deck that I most want to play at Command Fest DC is this Nahiri Oathbreaker deck that I've converted to a commander deck, but it doesn't do nice things to people.
You're one of those.
It throws Emeralds at you.
Come on.
It's cool. It's really fun. It's really good, but it's not going to be like, oh, this is a way to convince people to let Planeswalkers be commanders. Let me stomp on you with a Annihilator Eldrazi. But that's why I have the Chandra one, because that one's silly and small, and there's who can complain about having too many mono red walkers. I killed you with Koth Mountains. Be proud.
First of all, Koth is amazing. Don't anybody ever second guess it. He's like my favorite Planeswalker.
Like, why can't he be a commander?
Right.
Mountain Tribal, that would be so cool. And mono red needs cool Planeswalkers. So I can go on man. For a very long time. Pretty much most walkers you could bring up, and I would be like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Like, Mowu. What's the Mowu kid?
Yanggu.
Yeah, Yanggu. Like, why can't he be my commander? Why can't I have him and then my best friend buddy? I like, honestly, if someone sat down with the commander tech and like, I'm playing partner Mowu and Yanggu, and I'm gonna be like, yes, you do that, go for it. I'm proud of you.
Okay, never mind. I can't spell it. Okay, there we go.
If you look up Mowu, I think the first one shows up with his name.
No, I got him.
Spelled out.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't see why. I do like the idea of Zhang Yanggu and Mowu partners. That's cool. I like that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Focus.
Focus.
Yeah. There, I got it. Oh, you found it. Cool. Oh, that's the first one. Yeah. I don't know. I think that they're like, yeah, and that, like, I had a whole conversation. I forget where it was, but basically the idea was like signature spells, or I would love for Wizards to print a commander set where the partner with the partner mechanic, or the partners with the card is not another Planeswalker, right?
Yes.
Or not another creature. It like where it's, you could do Zhang Yanggu with Mowu. You could do Narset with not Narset.
Teferi with Nyambi, his daughter.
Yeah. Or not like Jorah with the Weatherlight, right?
Yeah.
Or like oh, sorry, all the names are going. Chandra's parents are named Pia and Kieran. Pia the character with the Heart of Kieran, like a new printing of Heart of Kieran. That's like, because that's her ship and it's her parents, and they're like, like there's like cool stuff you could do that way. That like I think the design space is very deep. Not to mention equipment or enchantment. It's like permanent spells partner with Planeswalkers. I think would be or like just characters would be really dope. And hopefully Wizards does that at some point.
Jace and Lavinia. And I don't even like Azorius, but Jace and Lavinia I think would be cool.
Ooh, Round Atomic Partners is really good.
Yep.
I really like that.
That'd be a huge like cool flavor one. And that would even be a 4-color combination. How awesome would that be?
3. Atomic's white, mono white.
He's Orzhov.
He's Orzhov aligned, but he's a mono white character.
For this we'd make him Orzhov.
Well, that's why do you want 4 colors? We just 3 colors. 3 colors are so many. That's way more than 2.
Jason Emera. Yes, basically character and their like romantic at some point in their life. I mean, Jason Braska at that point.
And that's kind of what's existed, right? I'm more looking at permanence. I think what is almost more exciting, because partner with currently as printed is with characters that are involved in some way. I think the battle bonds that had a lot of connected through characters. I want a character and their vehicle, or a character and equipment, or like a character and a grand enchantment that they're behind. I think I had a good example that I'm not remembering, but
Elsif and the Godsend, the spear from Gilead. Yeah,
right, exactly. That would be dope. Make it happen. Or like Gideon and his Soral.
Yeah,
not R.I.P. to both. And his sword, just everything Gideon was touching, it's all dead. It's all dead now.
The ground he walked on is also now dead.
One single tear.
Gideon in the Black Blade? I don't know. Like, he had the Black Blade at the end, but I don't know. I don't fully know how I'd be bought into that. You know what I mean?
No,
they're
Dak
both
and,
in the
Dak
underworld together
Blade
since they were both destroyed.
Dak?
Black Blade.
Dak in the Black Blade? He didn't even see the Black Blade.
No, he had the Black Blade. That's,
Dak?
Not Dak. Dakon. Dakon is.
Dakon. There you go. Okay,
He's a commander right now. You play him as a commander. It's not a good one. It's from unless there's one from Time Spiral Block. That's a thing, maybe. But yeah, like that's a character with the backblade. That makes sense to me. Yeah. Make a new one, especially because he's a Legends character. We got a new Gerard. Let's get like good versions of old characters, and have them partner with the Blackblade. That would be dope.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think just like more things should be in the command zone.
Nissa and Sword of the Animist.
Are they linked plot wise? I don't know what the Sword of the Animist.
I'm pretty sure that's her on the art, right? That's an elf for Zendikar's Chosen. I imagine that's Nissa.
Ooh, I locked finals for fantasy football. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the Planeswalker, like the fact that they're the story, the fact that they don't break magic, like they don't ruin a game of Commander by being your commander. I don't know why you don't let them be the thing. It's not doubling season anymore, and like it's not the change. Like, what's the worst you could do? It's Narset with Windfalls and Time Spirals. Like,
well, I think
Narset.
I think the honest worst thing you could do is already legal. It's Teferi Chainveil, right? Like that's I think the worst thing you can really do, because it's an infinite combo. It's in colors that can tutor for it, because blue has artifact tutors in it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, technically every color has artifact tutors, I guess, because there's colorless tutors, and like it's so easy to do. I think the worst thing you could do is already legal.
Like I want to play the Affinity Tezzeret. I want to play the Duretti, the black-red Duretti, right? The one that like, you can sacrifice artifacts and kill creatures. Like I want to play even like the equipment Nahiri. That's not even the good one.
Yeah.
Like
sorry, John.
The fact that I'm not allowed to play these due to like arbitrary reasons seems less exciting than just being able to play them. And I think the answer to this is just do it, right? Like go to a command fest, get all of your friends to build commanders that have planeswalkers, and just start jamming games against people. And like maybe it ends up being miserable for everyone. Maybe I'm wrong. The people that are championing this are wrong, but like Oathbreaker's fun, Brawl's dope. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it.
dope as fuck. And so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, Vraska in the command zone, the any of them. She's such a good character. God.
I want the pirate one. I'm not gonna lie. Vraska, what is it, Relic Seeker? I think that would be cool.
The 6-mana one? That sweet. I like her. The Queen of Golgari one would be dope. I want to play the 6-mana Sorin that like Bob drains people. Hell, mono white where I could play the 6-mana Elsbeth from Theros is like, that's a mono white deck I want to build versus every other mono white deck that's currently available to me. Yeah, look how cool that card is.
Right? She makes pirates. Come on.
And people complain about Sorin like in the command zone, or like even like with her ultimate, ultimate don't count. So yeah, Sorin I guess is a good example of like he can come in and put people's life totals to 10. So like that's a card that feels like any card that's been printed that makes you a target, as like Narset, the original one is a good example, right? People are gonna play him. It's Gaddock Teague, actually. Gaddock Teague is a great example. I had Gaddock Teague. I did an episode. My first episode I ever did on the command zone was Gaddock Teague. We did a deck check on that, me, Jimmy, and Josh. And I got rid of it pretty quickly after that episode, purely from the fact that I never got to play a game of Magic because people were like, "Oh, you're playing Gaddock Teague. I want to cast my spells. I'm going to kill you first."
Yep.
Oh, you're playing Sorin. You're going to put me at 10 life. I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah. Especially Sorin, right? 6 mana.
Like, it's so telegraphed, and it's mono black, so you're already limiting the fact that you can't play like half of the spells in the world, or 4, what is it?
80%.
80% of spells.
Yeah.
It's 6 mana. Like,
yeah,
it's fine. It's not even that good. It's only to one player. Like, even you do all the work, you survive to turn 6 in a game of Commander where all 3 players are terrified of you. And drain them to 10, you get Sorin into play, you minus it, someone's at 10 life.
Now what?
You have 2 other opponents that are at 10 life, and you have 1 player that wants to kill you immediately. Like, maybe you killed somebody with your commander by playing it, and I can name a bunch of commanders that I almost kill a player if I play it.
Yeah.
For 6 mana?
Yeah. And really though, and now what? Like, in that situation, now what?
You maybe attack them. Maybe you put creatures into play and you kill them. Like, the best case scenario is you have 10 power in play, right? And you attack them. You play the 3-drop, a 4-drop, a 5-drop. All of them have enough power to kill a person if they attack them. A player wasn't paying attention, or you board wiped or something. You killed their board and then played Sorin, which is on turn 7, I guess. And then or they didn't play creatures for whatever reason, and then you put them in 10 and you kill them on turn 6 after having 5 turns of playing threat after threat after threat with no interaction. I can name every commander deck that I own, and that is just the case if I had to turn 6 to do anything I wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To kill 1 player. It's not even kill everybody. The amount of commander decks that I can kill everybody in that situation is I don't know.
And then you can't even do it for 2 more turns? Yeah.
You can ramp maybe in mono black. That exists. You can do it. You can Dark Ritual the next turn.
Yeah. I don't know. But I don't know. So who would be your number 1 go-to? Would it be your Nahiri deck that you're talking about, or your Tamiyo deck?
If I was to pick one commander of the build, it was Nahiri. That was
a Harbinger, right?
That was the one who destroyed Innistrad.
No,
Which, by the way, super excited about Sorin and Nahiri fighting each other on Return to Zendikar and Fall.
Okay.
Do I know that's going to happen? No. Is it going to happen? Hopefully.
You're on thin ice a little bit there because you led that with Nahiri, the one who destroyed Innistrad, and I'm like, yeah. And you know what? I hated that. Give me my Innistrad back. Innistrad 1.0.
It's not gone. She lost. Emrakul's in a moon. This was attacked.
They turned it into Lovecraft horror, and I hate it.
We'll go back. It'll be back. They know that no one wants Eldrazi's around for her. They got rid of it.
They better. I think if I did do a Kiora deck, but I think I would do a Sorin deck. I don't know which version of Sorin I would do. I brought up the War of the Spark one because the alternate art is really cool on this one. But,
oh yeah, well, and the mechanic is cool, right? Like most of the other Sorens, the other black-white ones, the big one is just like draw cards and do damage, which is good because it's, I think, to all players, but it's fine.
Yeah.
You have, and it's a 6-mana commander that doesn't win the game when it enters play. You have the token ones, right? Those two are like kind of boring. They're
good support cards, but tokens. Not as like you wouldn't put them as your commander.
Right. Well, you could if you want to do mono black, black white aggressive tokens. Go wide strategies. They're good for that strategy. It's just kind of a generic, boring strategy and not that powerful. And then those are the 3 black white ones. All the other ones are mono black and they have different strengths. Vampire Tribal is probably good in the Vampire Tribal version, and we just talked about 6 mana. But like his entire mechanic suite on this card that you're seeing, I'm going down, but it's over here. I think if this works. Other way.
Yep. There you go.
Oh, am I mirrored on your mirror? Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out. Oh yeah. Akbar's on the left. That's cool. Okay. His entire mechanic suite, like giving creatures lifelink is cool. You could do cool life gain stuff. Like you can play a Johnny Pridemates or other cool things. Giving Planeswalkers lifelink is cool.
Right.
Like doing like the reanimation, like pseudo birthing pod-esque shenanigans with the -X is really cool. Being able to do like a hate bear style thing or aristocrats, like there's so many different little things you can do with these 2 abilities. The middle one is fine. It just is something to get him to 6 loyalty quickly.
I mean, it gains you life. You know what I mean? So technically, it gains you 3 life, right? Because people are going to attack Sorin, and you just put 2 on him, and you gain the life off of the 1 damage because he has lifelink from his. So it's +2, gain 3 life.
He would be pretty high on my list of commanders that I would build if I was given the opportunity to play with Planeswalkers as commanders. Like the especially because I have the Hiri, so I could also do the like they play each other because they hate each other side of things. The other Oathbreaker decks, so I have 4. I have Chandra, which is the 3-mana Chandra from M20, which is awesome. Yep. I love that red now has Planeswalker Tribal in its color pie. Sarkhan from War of the Spark is also amazing. And then we talked about Koth. Those are like the 3 mono red ones that I've debated for a while on. Then you have Nahiri, which we talked about. So the lands. It's a lands deck for Tamio. And then the 4th one is Azorius. He bounces things. He does this.
Dovin Bomb?
Venser.
Venser. Oh, yeah.
It's like Wall of Omens and the guy who removes attack steps from a player when he enters play. The Rhino, the Rhinos.
Stormhorn Dignitary.
Yeah, Stormhorn Dignitary.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I mean, it's the one that is the weirdest because the link between blinking things and stuff that's good with blinking and stuff with ETB effects, like you have to find more of a balance between those 2 things versus the other decks, which like they kind of all work together. He's cool. Look at him. He's so cool. He's like holding balls of glowy energy, and he's dead. He's the first.
I was about to say that might be his spark that fell out of his body when he had to give it to Karn.
He's in Karn. Karn's doing really. Let's talk about it. What is Karn existing better than Venser? Which one has caused more problems in Magic?
I'm pretty sure Karn's gonna go dark side in the future. Speculation, calling it.
Oh, you think Karn's gonna go evil? I don't know. He was kind of evil last time. That's where we found him.
I don't think he ever actually got over it. Okay. Like the whole.
Oh, you think he's like a Praetor this whole time?
I think he's corrupted. Like, you know how Venom makes people more aggressive? I think it's like that because Karn, the pacifist.
You can't have a. Sorry, go.
Well, like Karn the pacifist, right? He just went to Dominaria to find a bomb for a world. It's not like his thing. So that's just, to me, like, as soon as like I saw that in a story, I was like, that's a flag. Something going on here.
Okay.
But we'll have to see. It's cool that they... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's cool that they opened up another alleyway for, like, after the whole, like, endgame thing. Right? Like, for this to be another story arc over here that doesn't have to be tied into what is the Gatewatch doing as a whole. Like, he can go do his own thing now.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a prequel, right? Like, that's the next story arc. We spent basically from Zendikar block, but really, basically from Zendikar block to Oath of the Gatewatch, or to Shadows of Innistrad. That was the Eldrazi cycle, right? It was you had Innistrad establish the Eldrazi. You then go to New Phyrexia, which really establishes the next cycle, and then you go to Innistrad, which kind of is the next step of the Eldrazi. It sets the part where Emrakul goes to, right? It sets up the moon where you can trap them into. It sets up the other characters that matter. You then go to Ravnica, another kind of just middling of the ground, just continuing. But the next story was Theros, which is the continuation of the Phyrexian story. That's where, Elsbeth gets trapped. Like, she is the other key piece to that storyline. You then go to going through all of these off the top of my head. It's Khan's block, right? When do we get to Khan's block? That's what I want to get. Yeah, Khan's block is next after Theros. No?
Is it? I thought it was the Akira.
Oh, no, you get... No. Original. It was...
Oh, in the timeline?
Went back to Zendikar. No.
Wasn't it?
It was...
No, I think it was Theros and Khan's.
Theros block was followed by Khan's. Yeah. So then you go to Khan's block, and that's, kind of the beginning of that being an arc, right? Where, like, they set up a bunch of stuff for the future. Now we're in it. And that one goes through the prequels where we find out about Nahiri, we find out about Ugin, we go through saving Ugin to eventually get to him showing up and Nahiri being out there and pissed off. Then we go to Battle for Zendikar, we defeat the things. Okay, blah, 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 Shadows of Innistrad. Cool, that's the first arc. Then we get the War of the Spark set up by Shards of Alara block. All the stuff happened with that. I don't need to do this anymore. But now we're the third big bad kind of established at that point in time was the Phyrexians. And Dominaria is kind of the beginning seeds of that coming back. I think that's why we're going to go save Elsbeth. I think that Garrick and or Oko and or the Kenrith twins are going to be involved in the story in some way. I don't know which one of those pieces. Obviously, Garrick being saved is a big piece of that. I also think Garrick could be a seed for the next arc after that, which I think is going to be surrounded by the Raven Man, who hopefully is Limduel, which will be dope.
All right, listen here, Jay and Ellie.
The man's good, all right?
Yeah, I mean, he's right more than he's not.
And then you have... and then we go, and then we're going back to save Elsbeth, who is a big piece of the Phyrexian puzzle. Her home plane was destroyed by Phyrexia. We then, I have no idea what Akora is going to be about. I don't know what, and M21 is to ferry the set. And then we go to Zendikar, which seems like it's just going to be kind of the continuation of the Sorin versus Nahiri fight. But then I think right when that's done, we get really into Phyrexia territory. I think Venser's coming back. Speaking of Venser, I think it is very suspect that a portal mage died in the heart of Phyrexia, the plane that doesn't let things die, with a journal that talks about making portals. The group of people that will want portals to other places. I would imagine that he comes back, Elsbeth and friends and Koth all go fight them, and that's the next big event moment.
I would like for Koth to come back.
I hope he's the coolest character that has shown up once. And the other side of that is I think he's one of the few characters that didn't show up in the Spark, right? All of them, other than him, I think at this point have now shown up since then. Maybe we're missing a few people, but obviously there's the dead ones and all the old set ones. But I guess Duretti, there's a non-main story characters that have shown up in metal sets, but he is I can't think of anyone else. What's her face showed up in M20, the other Chinese exclusive character.
Oh
the Kenrith twins and Garrick were the other three, right? Those are the ones that had previous sets. I guess Duretti and Koth are the only two I can think of that are major characters that weren't in War of the Spark or showed up in 2019. I guess maybe Ren and Six. I don't know if they're alive. I don't even know what time period they're in.
with sets like that, we never fully know what time period they're from and whatnot. So
maybe at this point they're at Ren and 7. Who knows?
Just the next one.
Been talking in that choke for 6 months.
All right. Well, Phyrexian, I know you're kind of against the idea, but what would be your favorite commander Planeswalker?
I don't know about favorite. I think it'd just be interesting to try to play Ugin.
That'd be cool.
Because I've always been looking for a colorless commander.
That isn't an Eldrazi?
Well, I mean...
Or Hope of Girid or Karn?
Yeah. Bad Karn.
Yeah.
As Planeswalker Karns. But yeah, so I've always been looking for a colorless commander. I've never found one that really suits me. So having Ugin is an option to try. Just as a board wipe on a stick to everyone else's deck, where your deck is unaffected every time you cast them. And yeah, you cast 8, but mono brown decks seem to be really good at making lots of mana.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, they tend to be really good at that.
With all those artifacts and stuff they got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be the one I'd be the most interested in looking at building. Is just because I've never really built a colorless deck that I enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
And
that's
wanted
fair.
To play again, so it would be fun to try that out and see if I couldn't get there.
All right.
I do know that the 6-mana Ugin for War of the Spark is like a top on EDH rec is one of the most represented Oathbreaker decks that's out there.
That's interesting. I did not know the ineffable
6-mana Ugin would be cool too, but I think I'd just go with Spirit Dragon and have 6-mana Ugin in my deck.
Well, I mean, this makes your Soul Ring free.
And Soul Rings,
Mind Stone, and all your other 2-mana artifacts. But all right, that was fun. I think we definitely went over in time, but that was cool because we were having fun. So
we definitely did.
Quick question: have we convinced you that Planeswalkers as commanders could, if you're against it, by the end of this podcast?
Yeah, that's the big question. For those of you who eventually listen to this or watch this on YouTube or listen to this in podcast world, make sure you let us know in the comments down below, or like hit us up on Discord or on Twitter. Twitter is, of course, twitter.com/Praetor Magic. The Discord will be in the description. The link to the Discord will be in the description down below. And of course, make sure you like and subscribe if you're listening to us on YouTube. Kessler, thank you so much for coming out. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, anytime.
We're gonna have to have you back. We're gonna have to talk more about Planeswalkers so that Phyrexian can.
I am weirdly good at talking about Magic too much, so
yeah, right.
I want to do that.
As a fellow podcaster, it's so strange that you're so good at this, right?
It's weird, talking a lot about Magic. Who would have thought?
All right, and of course, we're going to have links to all his stuff also in the descriptions below, so make sure you're checking him out, following him, and all that good stuff. There is no 3DH this week. There is... Phyrexian, there's a stream this Saturday, right?
There is.
Okay, cool. There should be a Commander Online stream this Saturday, so come and join us. I think we finally kicked Patrick out. He hasn't taken an episode off, so we're finally kicking him out. So, and I'm going to beat Phyrexian up, so...
Hey, if anyone's at Magic Fest, or not Magic Fest, Command Fest DC, I will be there and hanging out and jamming games. And I'd love to see your Planeswalker Commander decks. And yeah.
You know what? Actually, that we should try to make a thing out of that. So Kessler's going to be there. Danny and I are going to try to be there as well. So I will try to make sure I have a couple Planeswalker decks that are Planeswalker as Commander decks ready to go, and just try to find us at whatever tables we're at. I'm sure we'll post it on Twitter or something like that. So find us, play your Planeswalker decks, your Planeswalker as Commander decks, not just your Planeswalker decks.
Let's make it happen.
And every time you see an RC person, bring them over and play them with your Planeswalker deck. Yeah, just they should be fine with it. Rule 0.
Or just throw just a stack of Planeswalkers at them and run away.
Well, first of all, most of those are kind of expensive. I don't know about that.
Just like the uncommon ones for the.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the lesser.
Get a bunch of Teos and Tybalts
yeah.
and the wandering ones. That's the best one. Like put the hat on so they don't know.
Oh yeah. Then they don't know who you are. Yeah.
Don't do this.
we don't endorse throwing cards at people, please. Oh god,
not at their faces.
That's fair. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you again next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you Saturday, Eastern Time, 9 p.m. as well for Commander Online, where I'm probably going to win, because, as I do. But until next time, guys, peace. See ya.